Welcome to the Safety Map podcast. I'm Alyssa Decker, founder and developer of the Safety Map framework, and this is where we talk about how safety, not performance, is the foundation of healing. We're talking about healing that goes beyond coping skills and into structural change. I'm so glad you're here. If you've ever found yourself doing something, and even while you're in the middle of doing it, you're thinking, why am I doing this again? I'm so done with this. I decided I wasn't going to do this anymore. Or you walk away from a situation and you think, I'm so done with this. Or my favorite, I know better than this. If you've ever found yourself in one of those moments, this episode is going to shift something for you. Because this is not a choice problem. This is a prediction. Hey, Alyssa here. Thanks for joining me for another episode of the Safety Map podcast. If you are enjoying this content, if you're learning something here, or even just identifying with what we've been talking about, please take a moment to subscribe or follow on whatever platform you're currently listening in on. This really helps other people find the content, and it makes sure that you don't miss a single upcoming episode. Thank you so much. Now back to today's episode. Many of us tend to operate as though we are making decisions from a neutral place or a neutral space. We tend to talk to ourselves or set our expectations as though when we enter into a decision, we're starting from scratch, from the beginning. Like, I get to make this decision. I get to show up however I want. And while on some level that is true, the reality is we are all entering that decision-making space with something happening underneath the surface. So when we think things like, I should speak up, I should set a boundary, I should stay calm, I want to do something different this time, and then we don't, we make it mean something about us. We decide that we have a lack of discipline, or we haven't healed enough from our trauma, or we haven't grown enough. But here's the piece that changes everything. We are not entering into decisions from a neutral space. Your nervous system is not waiting for your brain to decide what to do. Your nervous system is not waiting for you to decide how you want to show up in a situation. It is predicting constantly what might happen next. What action is the safest? What words are the safest? Which interaction will be the safest? Before your brain has a chance to even process what was being said to you or what is happening around you, your safety map, the part of you that stores information on what has happened to you in the past and what came next, the part of you that is storing the data about what has kept you safe in the past, what has kept you connected, what has kept your identity intact. Your safety map has predicted what comes next based on what it has seen in the past. Your safety map has calculated which action, which words, which boundary or lack thereof is the most likely to keep you connected. And this all happens long before your brain has a chance to catch up. When your safety map predicts what is about to happen next and calculates the action or the behavior that is most likely to keep you safe, it sends those messages to your nervous system, and your nervous system sends those signals to your body, and before you know it, you are acting in a way that has been organized. Oftentimes, it feels like organized without your consent in a way that is designed to keep you safe. The predictions of your safety map are not organized on logic, not organized based on percentages. If you have a fear of planes, your safety map has calculated that keeping you off of planes or making you anxious about getting on planes is going to keep you safer than getting in the air. And the fact that 99 point whatever percentage of flights are completely safe is not part of the calculation. Your safety map's predictions are based on what you have already lived, what you have felt, what you have experienced. That's it. Your safety map is not Googling the statistics of how likely something is to be safe. It is looking at what has happened in the past and saying, based on what has happened, the other 2 or 3 or 27 times this has happened, this is what is most likely to come next. And based on that, this is the behavior that is most likely to keep me safe when that thing happens. Your safety map is constantly preparing for the worst case scenario. Why? Because the worst case scenario presents the biggest threat to your survival, to your safety. It can feel as if some of these predictions are more intense or more overpowering than they really need to be given the circumstances, but your safety map doesn't see it that way. What it sees is there is a probability, there is a likelihood that this hurtful thing, this harmful thing happens, and so we must defend against even the possibility. Again, it's not looking around saying, well, it's only a 10% chance this really painful thing happens. It's saying there's a 10% chance this really painful thing happens, and so we must defend against. We must protect from even that 10% chance. Your system has learned to survive. And the patterns that it has used and the behavior that it has used to keep you safe has been reinforced over and over and over again. If it worked, it'll work again. If it's worked 17 times, it'll work again. And so the pattern repeats. So when you find yourself doing something and thinking, why did I just do that? The answer is not, I made a bad choice. The answer is, my safety map predicted that was the safest choice in the moment. In that circumstance, the prediction was the best way to stay safe is to do XYZ. So let's make this really practical. If in the past, speaking up has led to conflict or rejection or making things worse or being disconnected, your system will likely predict being quiet is safer. When you're in the moment and you're thinking, I should speak up, I should say something, and you find yourself struggling to do that, it's because your system has already decided staying safe means being silent. If leaving has ever meant loss, grief, instability, fear, not knowing what came next, then your system has likely decided staying is the safest option, even if there is part of you that wants to leave. Even if you're thinking, this relationship is not good for me, I need to exit, you might find it's very hard to do so because your system has predicted that staying is safer than leaving. If your system is yelling, hold back, adjust, keep connection at all costs, it will be very challenging, very, very hard to override that protective strategy in order to change your behavior. This is why it often feels like you're fighting yourself, like there's an internal war happening inside of you, because there kind of is. The part of you that wants something different, more peace, less conflict, more security, more honesty, more alignment, more connection. And there's part of you that's saying, but what if that isn't safe? The thing that you have always known or done and on repeat has kept you alive to this moment. And so your system, your safety map is legitimately asking, is this other thing just as likely to keep me safe as the thing I've always known that's proven to keep me alive? And if the thing that you've always done has been proven to keep you alive over 10 or 20 or 70 or 80 years, your system is going to need a whole new data set, a new way of understanding that this other option might be safe before it will release the pattern or the behavior that has kept you safe for all those years. So when we feel that internal conflict, we often feel shame around our inability to change the pattern. But the truth is, part of you that is trying to keep you safe will win every time. Not because you're weak, but because your system is oriented around survival. Shame, the shame that you feel when you want to say something and don't, or when you know you should leave and you don't, that shame is protecting you by making you withdraw so you don't say something that your system believes might lead to disconnection. It can urge you to over-explain when you wanted to be direct. It can cause you to go back when you said you were done, because shame is seeking to organize your behavior in a way that your system has decided will keep you safe. So instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Let's start asking, what does my system believe is at risk if this behavior changes? In other words, if I make another choice, what does my safety map predict will happen that could be dangerous? What feels at risk if I stop doing this thing and start doing a different thing? When we understand the answer to that question, what does my system believe is at risk? We begin to understand what the threat prediction is. We begin to understand what is the thing that my body is protecting me from. When we start to understand the prediction, my body is doing this thing because it believes this is the risk of not doing it, or this is the risk of changing the behavior. Once we can see the prediction, then we have what we need to begin changing the pattern, because we can get to the root cause, the bottom layer. When we introduce to your system a new option, this other thing might be safe too. When the underlying threat prediction shifts, in other words, your body begins to believe, I can stay safe and do this other thing, your behavior begins to reorganize. It changes all on its own. That means no more strong-arming yourself into doing what you believe is the right thing, or doing the thing that you've learned, or doing the thing that it said to do in this book, or the thing that your therapist said to do. When your body believes it's safe to choose another behavior, it will, without the constant internal war and struggle that so many of us feel all the time. You are not failing to do better. You're doing what your system believes is safe. And until the belief shifts, your safety map will keep you in that behavior. This week, don't try to change your behavior. We're not here to try to force your system into a new action, but I want you to start noticing when you feel that moment of, I'm doing that thing again that I don't want to be doing, and ask yourself, what is at risk? What does my safety map, what does my nervous system, what does my body, all of it, what does it believe will happen or be at risk if I don't do this thing, if I change this pattern? And just see what comes up. Awareness is the first step. Without awareness, without understanding what your body is predicting, we cannot change the prediction, and we will constantly fight the behavior, because the behavior is what your system believes is keeping you safe. Nothing will ever be more important to your system than keeping you alive and safe. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Safety Map podcast. If this is resonating for you, I want to invite you to download my free guide, Calm is Not the Same as Safety. It will help you understand the difference between feeling calm in your body and feeling safe in your body, and give you some next steps to take to move towards not just calm, but safety. When your body is safe, it will regulate all on its own. So go download that. The link is down in the show notes, and I'll see you next time for another episode of the Safety Map Podcast.